What if the man who held Heartland together for nearly 2 decades left behind one final secret that could tear the entire family apart? Jack Bartlett's will has finally been revealed, and what's inside is nothing like the family expected. Instead of bringing peace, it sets fire to old wounds and creates brand new battles. This moment doesn't just shake Amy, Tim, and Lou, it threatens to change the future of Heartland forever. Jack Bartlett has always been the heart and soul of Heartland. His quiet wisdom, his steady hand, and his deep love for the land have guided every decision the family has made. He was more than a grandfather, more than a father-in-law. He was the foundation. Over the years, Jack became the keeper of not only the ranch, but also the family's history. The traditions passed down from generation to generation. So when the talk of a will first comes up, many believe it will be a simple matter. After all, Jack was a man who valued fairness, honesty, and loyalty above all else. The family expects his will to reflect exactly that. Something straightforward, something that honors his legacy without creating arguments. But underneath the surface, there's tension already building. Tim has his own vision of what should belong to him after years of fighting for his place in the family. Lou has her plans, her control over Heartland's business and decisions, and she assumes Jack would naturally support her leadership. And then there's Amy, who, more than anyone, carries Jack's lessons in her heart and soul. The day the will is revealed feels heavy, as though the air itself knows that change is coming. Everyone gathers in the old living room where countless family meetings have taken place before. The fireplace crackles softly in the background, a sound that usually brings comfort. But today it feels different. The silence is tense, and every glance between family members carries a question. What exactly did Jack leave behind? The lawyer clears his throat, unfolding the paper with careful hands. The sound of the paper rustling echoes like thunder in the quiet room. Each family member sits rigidly, waiting for the words that will set the course for their future. For a brief moment, there's still hope. Hope that Jack's will can bring clarity. Hope that his final words can remind them of unity rather than division. But as the reading begins, something unexpected happens. The words don't follow the script the family had written in their minds. Instead, they reveal choices that no one predicted. Jack has left Heartland Ranch not solely to one person, not in the neat, simple way the family imagined. His instructions are layered, complicated, filled with conditions that demand the family not only share responsibilities, but also confront their own flaws. The shock is immediate. The expressions on their faces change from curiosity to disbelief. Tim's eyes narrow, Lou's jaw tightens, and Amy's heart sinks. This isn't the easy resolution they were hoping for. This is the beginning of a storm. And as the lawyer continues to read, the weight of Jack's decision settles heavily on everyone in the room, leaving them stunned, confused, and already bracing for the conflicts that are about to follow. Jack Bartlett, even in death, has found a way to test the strength of his family. The words from the lawyer's mouth fall like stones into still water, causing ripples that spread across every corner of the room. Jack's voice may no longer be here, but through his will, it feels as though he is speaking directly to them, guiding them, and at the same time, challenging them in ways they never expected. The first revelation is simple enough. Heartland, the land itself, will not be sold under any circumstances. To most of the family, this comes as no surprise. Jack's love for the ranch was endless, and he would never allow it to fall into someone else's hands. But then comes the twist. Ownership and responsibility will not belong to one single person. Instead, Jack splits the ranch into shared stewardship, placing Amy, Lou, and even Tim in roles that demand cooperation. Each of them is given not only rights but duties that tie them permanently to the land. This is where the shock begins. Lou had believed her leadership, her business sense, and her years of sacrifice would make her the obvious choice to inherit the full reins. The idea that she must now share power, especially with Tim, whose decisions she has often battled, cuts her pride deeply. Her face hardens, her hands clench in her lap, and she looks away, unable to mask her frustration. Tim, on the other hand, reacts with a fire that burns instantly. He shifts in his seat, shaking his head in disbelief, as if the words are some kind of cruel mistake. Tim has fought for recognition his entire life. He has made countless arguments that his bloodline and his history with the ranch entitle him to more than he has been given. To be placed side by side with Lou, and worse, to not be named sole heir, feels to him like an insult, a final act of betrayal from Jack, and yet, while Lou simmers in silence and Tim sparks with anger, Amy sits quietly processing. For her, this revelation feels heavier than any material inheritance. She understands what Jack is really doing. He isn't just dividing land and power, he's asking them to unite, to find common ground, to work together not out of choice, but out of necessity. It's Jack's final lesson. Family is strongest when it fights less for control and more for love. But the lawyer isn't finished. The will contains more, personal notes that Jack has left behind. These words, written in Jack's own hand, cut deeper than any legal instruction. To Lou, he reminds her to balance her ambition with compassion. To Tim, he urges him to put family above ego. And to Amy, he passes the torch, encouraging her to continue his legacy not through ownership, but through heart. The room grows heavier with every word. These are not just directions on paper. These are truths the family has been avoiding for years, truths Jack has now forced them to face. The silence that follows the reading is deafening. No one knows what to say. No one dares to move. Because they all understand, Jack's will is not just a document. It is a mirror, showing them who they are and daring them to change. Tim finally breaks the silence with a sharp laugh, bitter and cutting. So that's it? After everything, this is how he saw me? His voice shakes, not just with anger, but with pain. Lou snaps back, her words laced with frustration, blaming Tim for never being satisfied, for always turning everything into a fight. Amy tries to intervene, but even her voice trembles as she begs them to see Jack's message for what it is. But already the cracks are forming. What Jack hoped would unite them has instead awakened old rivalries, setting the stage for conflict that could burn brighter than ever before. The moment the lawyer's voice fades and the last page of Jack's will rests on the table, silence grips the room like a storm waiting to break. Everyone feels the weight of the words that were spoken, but for Tim and Lou, the weight is unbearable. What was supposed to be Jack's final act of love feels, to them, like a dagger. Tim is the first to shatter the silence. He pushes his chair back so suddenly that it scrapes against the wooden floor, the sound sharp and angry. His face is red, his jaw tight, his fists clenched as though he's been robbed in plain sight. Shared responsibility? He spits the words out like they're poison. After everything I've done, after all the years I've spent fighting for this family, for this ranch, this is what I get? A partnership with Lou? His voice rises, echoing against the walls, the pain in his chest pouring out as rage. Lou doesn't sit quietly. She's not the type to shrink under Tim's temper. Her own anger has been bubbling since the first mention of shared control, and now it bursts out. She leans forward, her tone sharp, cutting like ice. Don't you dare make this about you, Tim. This ranch isn't a prize to be handed out like a trophy. You've spent half your life trying to prove yourself, and the other half making a mess of everything Jack built. Maybe this is exactly why he didn't give you full control, because he knew you'd ruin it. The words hit Tim like a slap, and for a moment his fury transforms into something raw, hurt. But he won't let Lou see that. He fires back, louder, angrier. Ruined it? At least I fought for this place. He points at her, his finger trembling with rage. You've always cared more about appearances, about money, about your precious plans for expansion and your endless control. Don't pretend you cared about Heartland the way Jack did. You just wanted power. The room is on fire now, their voices clashing like thunder and lightning. Amy tries to step in, her voice soft, desperate. Stop it, both of you. This isn't what Jack wanted. But her words are drowned out, swept away by the storm of resentment that has been building for years. Lou's face flushes as she stands, her eyes burning. Power? You think I wanted power? I kept this ranch alive while you were too busy chasing your pride and your ego. I made sacrifices, Tim. I made sure this family had a future, and all you ever did was drag us backward. Tim's laugh is bitter, hollow. Sacrifices? Don't pretend you did it for the family. You did it for yourself, for control, so everyone would look at you and say, Lou Fleming saved Heartland. The lawyer shifts uncomfortably, but no one notices. Georgie, Katie, and the younger family members sit frozen, wide-eyed, as though watching the family they trusted crumble in front of them. Even Lisa lowers her gaze, her heart breaking as the unity Jack treasured begins to splinter in his absence. It is Amy who finally raises her voice, stronger this time, filled with both grief and resolve. Enough! The word echoes, cutting through the show. The echoes of Tim and Lou's fight still linger in the air long after their words fall silent. It's as if the house itself has absorbed the anger, the walls heavy with tension. Heartland has always been a place of healing, but now, in this moment, it feels like a battlefield. The family sits scattered, each person lost in their own storm of emotions, struggling to make sense of Jack's final wishes. Amy lowers herself into the worn leather chair by the fireplace, her eyes fixed on the flames dancing before her. They should feel warm, comforting, but tonight the fire feels wild, untamed, mirroring the chaos burning inside her family. Jack entrusted her with his wisdom, his values, and his love for the land. But he also left her with a burden heavier than she could have imagined, holding the family together when it's threatening to split apart. Lisa, standing quietly by the window, clasps her hands together. She knows Jack better than anyone, and she can almost hear his voice in the silence. Calm, steady, urging patience. But patience is not enough to mend what has already cracked. Tears prick at her eyes as she watches Tim pace across the room, shoulders tense, his pride wounded beyond repair. Lou sits stiff, arms crossed, her face pale with anger but also with something deeper, fear. Fear that her father figure saw her not as the sole leader, but as one of many who must share the burden. Meanwhile, the younger ones, Georgie, Katie, and even Lindy, sit in a quiet corner, their voices hushed. They exchange glances that speak louder than words. If the adults can't find peace, what will happen to Heartland's future? Georgie, older now and wiser than before, bites her lip, the thought of losing the stability Jack once provided sinking in. Katie fidgets with her hands, unsure whether to side with her mother or stay silent. And little Lindy, though too young to understand all the words, feels the unease like a shadow creeping through her home. Amy finally breaks the silence, her voice gentle but weighted with emotion. This ranch has survived storms before. Fires, droughts, loss. Jack always said the land could endure anything if the families stood together. But if we let this tear us apart, then everything he built will be lost. Her words tremble with truth, but instead of soothing the room, they stir a deeper pain. Because everyone knows she's right, and yet no one is ready to surrender their anger. Tim mutters something under his breath, sharp and bitter, while Lou turns her head away, unable to look anyone in the eye. Lisa finally steps forward, her voice soft but firm, carrying the weight of Jack's memory. Jack didn't write this will to punish you. He wrote it to protect you from yourselves. He knew pride could destroy this family faster than anything else. She pauses, her voice breaking slightly. If you can't see that, then maybe you never truly knew him. The words cut deep, striking both Tim and Lou in the places they'd rather keep hidden. For a moment, their defenses falter, but only for a moment. Pride is a heavy shield, and neither is ready to put it down. The room grows colder as the night stretches on. Conversations die in half-formed sentences, glances turn into glares, and the silence becomes sharper than any argument. Even the lawyer, who had expected tension, shifts uneasily, realizing he has become the bearer of a legacy that has sparked a fire too great to control. Outside, the wind howls across the open fields of Heartland, rattling the windows, as though nature itself is mourning Jack's absence. The land stands vast, timeless, unbothered by human quarrels. But within these walls, the future feels fragile, uncertain, and on the edge of collapse. For the first time in years, Heartland doesn't feel like home. It feels like a house divided, and unless someone finds a way to mend these wounds, Jack's final gift may become the very thing that destroys the family he loved most. The days after the will's reading are anything but calm. What should have been a time of reflection turns into a slow unraveling of trust. Heartland is still standing, the fences are still strong, the fields still stretch out wide under the prairie sky, but inside the family, cracks are spreading deeper each hour. Amy moves between them like a bridge under strain, trying desperately to keep both sides from collapsing. She spends her mornings riding across the ranch, searching for clarity in the rhythm of hooves against the soil. Out in the open, the land feels timeless, almost untouched by the weight of Jack's will. But when she returns to the house, the air is thick with conflict. Lou avoids Tim, her footsteps sharp and decisive, while Tim prowls the barn like a restless storm cloud, muttering under his breath about betrayal and disrespect. Lou begins to plot quietly, her mind turning Jack's words over and over. If she can't have complete control of Heartland, then she will use her influence to shape it from behind the scenes. She starts looking through old financial records, expansion plans, and even contacting people outside the ranch, business voices who have always been eager to see Heartland grow in new directions. To Lou, Jack's will isn't the end of her vision, it's just another obstacle. But the more she pushes, the more she convinces herself that Jack underestimated her. Tim, however, takes a different path. Pride won't let him step back, and anger won't let him move on. He spends his nights in the barn, staring at old photographs of himself and Jack, wondering why he was never trusted the way he thought he should be. Every word Lou throws at him replays in his mind, echoing louder than Jack's handwritten notes. The sting of being denied full control gnaws at him, convincing him that Jack favored everyone but him. And with each passing day, Tim grows more determined to prove that Heartland should have been his alone. And yet, beneath all of this, whispers of something more begin to surface. As Amy sorts through Jack's belongings, tucked away in a desk drawer, she finds a bundle of letters, sealed and yellowed with age. They're not part of the will, not addressed to any one person directly, but they hint at choices Jack made long ago, choices that might explain why he divided Heartland the way he did. Words like regret, promise, and debt appear in Jack's careful handwriting, leaving Amy with more questions than answers. Lisa, too, notices the tension building. She sees the way Lou's ambition blinds her, the way Tim's anger consumes him, and the way Amy shoulders the impossible weight of peacemaker. She worries that Jack's true intention, the lesson of unity, will be lost. One evening, as the family gathers for dinner, Lisa tries to bring calm, but the meal turns sour before it begins. Tim refuses to sit at the same table as Lou. Lou makes excuses to leave early. Amy picks at her food in silence, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. The younger generation watches closely, and it unsettles them. Georgie begins to wonder if there's even a place for her at Heartland anymore, if the legacy she hoped to carry forward is slipping away. Katie grows quiet, her confidence shaken by her mother's hard edge. Even little Lindy asks questions Amy can't answer. Why is everyone mad? Didn't Grandpa want us to be happy? And so the division spreads, not just between Tim and Lou, but across the entire family. Jack's will has opened old wounds and revealed hidden truths. But it has also planted seeds of doubt that threaten to grow into something far darker. Amy clutches the letters at night, the unanswered questions haunting her. What was Jack trying to protect them from? Why did he choose this path? And what other secrets has he left buried in the heart of Heartland? The answers lie just beyond reach. But one thing is clear. The battle for Heartland has only begun. The prairie night falls heavy over Heartland. The stars stretch endlessly across the dark sky, but inside the house, no one feels the peace of the land. The warmth that once defined the ranch has turned cold, as though Jack's absence has left a hollow silence no fire can fill. Amy sits alone in the loft. Jack's letters spread out before her like pieces of a puzzle that refuse to fit. Her fingers trace over the faded ink, the handwriting she knows so well, the words that feel as alive as his voice once was. Some of the letters are unfinished, others sealed and never sent. They speak of burdens Jack carried in silence, decisions he made long ago that shaped the present in ways the family never understood. One phrase stands out, scrawled in Jack's uneven hand: "The truth must stay hidden for the sake of Heartland." Amy's heart pounds as she reads it again. What truth? What had Jack sacrificed to keep the family safe? And why did he believe his will would force them to face what he could never say aloud? The questions swirl in her mind, heavier than the weight of the ranch itself. Downstairs, Lou paces the kitchen, her laptop open, phone buzzing with calls from investors and business contacts. She is already scheming, already making moves Jack never wanted. Every decision she makes pushes her further from her sister, further from the heart of what Heartland truly means. She convinces herself she's protecting the ranch, but deep inside, doubt claws at her. What if she's becoming the very thing Jack feared? Out in the barn, Tim sits in the shadows, his shoulders slumped, a bottle resting loosely in his hand. The anger that once kept him burning now feels like ashes, but pride keeps him from admitting the truth. He wanted Jack's approval more than control. He wanted to be chosen, finally, as the man who could carry the legacy. Instead, he feels cast aside, a reminder of every mistake he's ever made. And yet, even in his despair, he swears to himself he will not give up Heartland no matter what it takes. Lisa watches all of this quietly, torn between hope and fear. She knows Jack trusted Amy to be the glue,